Let's talk a little bit about the next day. We're doing Thunder, and it's in Lafayette, Louisiana. And Flair's going to lay you out with a belt shot, so that keeps the program going. He's going to cut a promo later on you, Crowbar, David Flair, and Daphne. They all come out to lay the boots to him. But then his old pal Double A makes the save. The main event was supposed to be Flair, Nash, and Arn taking on you, Crowbar, and David Flair. But of course, Arn is taken out in the back. You're going to hit Nash with a chair, and he's going to no-sell it. Flair starts acting like he's having a heart attack, and the Millionaires Club in the back tips the New Blood bus over, and a Goldberg monster truck runs it over. If you had trouble following that, so did the fans. That's a lot.
Well, and for you YouTube folks out there, you know what I'm talking about, Dave. If you'll put the Goldberg slide back up of the monster truck, that, you know, was this a segment that you had to get the Goldberg truck in some way? I don't know. I don't know that, but that's a big licensing deal with a big audience. The monster truck audience, especially during this time frame, was massive. So were we trying to, that's where going back, you know, what master are you trying to serve? Your ratings, your talent in this scenario, your ratings, your talent, it just, you reading that, because we went from a Jarrett Flair story to a Nash to, I don't know how many layers you got in there. And then it's back to a bus. Goldberg had to have something to run over the monster truck. A freaking mess.
Raw and Nitro are not head to head the following week because the NBA playoffs are going on. So Nitro is moved up, but it does do its peak rating with a 3.59 for your match with Kevin Nash for the WCW title. And if you're asking why it's for the WCW title, considering Flair was the champion on Thunder.
Yeah. Do we know? Here we go. Here with some questions, and go ahead. You're the expert.
They do a funeral where Russo gives the title belt to Jarrett. They pretend that Flair had a brain aneurysm, and Nash comes out of the casket to beat up Jarrett and David Flair like they were flies and leaves with the belt. So now we've got Jarrett versus Nash for a vacant title, where we take it off of Rick and just say, he had a brain aneurysm. He's dead. He's in this casket right here. Oh, no, it's Kevin Nash. You lose the belt to this guy in street clothes. He doesn't even know he's winning it. Now he's got to go get shoulder surgery. So we just stick Kevin Nash in a. This is the worst, right? Is this the worst creative ever in your career?
It's definitely up there. Well, it's confusing.
Nonsensical. Certainly. It's most nonsensical.
Okay. Where did Nash sit? Was he part of creative or was that?
He had been prior, but I don't think at this point he's as involved.
So was it Russo?
Yeah, this is Russo who would make the stuff, and then Bischoff would give it a once-over at the end.
That era, yeah. Like stripping the title. Do we know why they stripped Rick? Was it creative?
Because he had a brain aneurysm. Are you listening?
But no.
He's in the casket. No, of course not. He had an aneurysm. They're doing a funeral for him. Duh, silly. If
you're listening to this, this really happened. This is not a fictitious podcast we're doing today. It really happened.
It really happened from Grand Rapids. There were 6,530 fans there. 4632 of them paid $105,000. You would see Mike Awesome and Shane Douglas beat up on the wall, and DDP would make the save out of an ambulance. But really, he throws Awesome in the back and drives off. Vince Russo is with a casket celebrating Ric Flair's heart attack. Then the match happens. Now let's talk about the match. Meltzer would say, yes, Arquette draws record low ratings, but they keep the belt on him to swerve the fans, and the result is one of the lowest buy rates ever. Flair pops the highest rating in months, so they can't wait to take the belt off him. I guess if they don't have a title change every Monday, Nitro must have been a bad show. Russo beat up Billy Silverman with the belt and took over as ref, and wouldn't count to 3 as Nash took the entire match. Nash got right up after a chair shot. Nash kicked out after a belt shot, Steiner comes out and the new blood overpowers him and handcuffs him to the ropes in the old crucifixion pose. Nash set up a powerbomb in the aisle on Russo when the blood, I believe it's a honey-like substance, a form of syrup and red dye, which is the standard movie blood mixture, came from the ceiling. It wasn't the most embarrassing segment on the show, but it was up there. Nash waited forever because the stuff was late falling. Then it fell, but it missed him again. He at least tried to move into the path of the red stuff, and he did get some of it when he moved. Somehow that stunned Nash, but not Russo. So Jarrett hits him with a guitar and pins him to win the title in about 5 minutes.
Hey, I wish we had video.
I mean, that look, show that image again, that last image. This looks like an episode of Nickelodeon or something. Like, you can't do that on television. What are we even doing? This just.
And it got all over the fans. And I remember if this picture's, keep it right here, because like, I don't know if they didn't have a mark or wherever it was, but when it started dropping, if I remember correctly, I think Nash kind of had to inch over it.
Yes. He had to lean into, he had to go towards it. And by the way, Meltzer would say this, the plan on May 15th, as of the late afternoon, was for Jarrett to beat Flair, but Russo changed his mind before the show, feeling that people wouldn't expect Flair to win. Jarrett was said to be unhappy, but was promised he'd get the belt back the next week. So Flair put Jarrett over big on his interview the next day at Thunder, basically, acting like for his age, for him to win the title again, he got lucky and Jarrett was a great champion. But still, they take the belt off of you to switch it back like this.
Terrible. And that guitar shot, I like to say that I've, had my good fair of guitar shots, both good and bad. But this is just the difficulty level to hit a guy 6'11". That syrup is like walking on glass for both of us. I had to stretch out, make sure I hit him with enough bat speed, but didn't bust my ass so the whole world would start laughing. Kevin could say, oh, I wonder if you could put together like wrestling bloopers, because this would make it. This segment would it not?
Dude, it's got to be one of the worst segments. I mean, just this little segment of history of when you lose the belt to when you win it back. It all feels like a bad dream. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no continuity. If you were to try to explain this to someone, then, now, forever, it wouldn't make any sense. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.